So, Doc, the latest news we got is that he was hospitalized overnight and that his team is saying that the initial review did not show evidence of a new stroke, but doctors are running more tests. And this was yesterday evening, and that he's remaining overnight for observations, that he was in good spirits and talking with his staff. But we really don't know much more than that about the 53-year-old who, as viewers and listeners may recall, suffered a stroke on May 13th, 2022, 4 days before the Democratic primary. So what concerns come to mind as you hear this news?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, Megyn. When you have somebody like Mr. Fetterman have lightheadedness, it's important to remember, put it in context. It's not like having a 25-year-old man who has no medical history having lightheadedness. This is a 50-some-year-old man who really unfortunately had a stroke, and then it wasn't just and that's complicated enough. But on top of that, it was discovered at the time, I think we found out a few days later, that he has a weak heart muscle, so he has heart failure. On top of that, he has a defibrillator. A defibrillator is a device that is implanted in the body by cardiologists that kind of sits there, and it's like a computer that's constantly monitoring the heart rhythm. And if there's a bad heart rhythm that's noted, the device gets activated to try to save your life. So the diagnostic possibilities in terms of somebody who's 50-some years old, who has a history of a stroke, who has heart failure, who has a defibrillator, who has lightheadedness, is obviously, there's some severe possibilities there. It could be totally benign. It could be that he's dehydrated. It could be that the doctors, in terms of managing his heart failure, when they're adding medicines for that, it could be that those medicines he could be having some type of a reaction to, and they have to dial back some of those medicines. Or it could be things that are that could be more concerning, like bad arrhythmias, or heart failure that's progressing. So there's a number of different possibilities, and again, it's really hard with the little pieces that we get from the Fetterman side of things to kind of figure out where in that whole gradient he would be.
Well, when you say it could be heart failure progressing, of course, I know absolutely nothing about cardiology in the way you do, but if you have a defibrillator in there as well as a pacemaker, how does one suffer heart failure?
Yeah, so defibrillators, it's a common question that's asked. It's a good question. Defibrillators and pacemakers, except for one peculiar circumstance where you have a certain conduction problem with the heart, and then the pacemaker actually is resynchronizing the heart to make the heart pump better. And we have no idea, because we've never actually spoken or heard from the treating physician who actually put in the device. So we don't even know the details of what exact device is. So defibrillators are complicated. There's a defibrillator that just has one lead that sits there and is just sitting there looking to see if you're going to have a bad rhythm, and it shocks you or paces you out of that bad rhythm. And then there's one unique case, like I'm talking about, where a resynchronizing pacemaker can be used to improve your heart function. We don't know any of that, but if he has the general type of defibrillator, which is just a defibrillator that's sitting there waiting to save your life in case you have a very bad rhythm, and you're predisposed to these bad rhythms because your heart muscle is weak, then that defibrillator isn't doing anything to make your heart better per se. So again, it's very hard kind of stumbling around in the dark without knowing any of these details. And there's so many details that, as cardiologists, we would love to know.
Well, can I ask you about that? Because you're from Pennsylvania. You're a Pennsylvania guy.
Yep.
Has it been frustrating for you as a doctor who's also a citizen of the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to not get more information? Because all we ever got was like a general note from his general practitioner saying he's fit to serve. He never released his medical records.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to this whole notion. I never really spent that much time thinking about it, but it does get to this notion of like, well, what exactly is the public supposed to know about the politician you're voting for, in terms of how sick you are, And I mean, do we need to know like what exact hypertension medications he's on? I guess probably not. But after someone suffers such a significant event, I mean, I think it behooves folks to know more about what the prognosis is here, and more detail. And in order to know what prognosis is, how well you're going to be able to discharge what is a very busy, what can be a very, very busy, stressful job. It would be really helpful to know more details. And we just, there just have been details have been so difficult to kind of pull out. So that has been frustrating.
All right, stand by, Rich. It's interesting to hear, the good doctor, a cardiologist, talk about how frustrating it is for him to not get the details he would like to ascertain whether Fetterman really is fit to serve and is capable of doing this job. And it was a frustration that a lot of voters and would-be voters had in the run-up to this election, one that we were told over and over again was somehow inappropriate to raise, that you were being an ableist if you pushed too hard for more details. And now the guy was sworn in on January 3rd. It's a month later, and he's already had a medical event. He's back in the hospital, and once again, we're getting the stiff arm on details.
Yeah, so let's hope it's nothing, and let's hope he's out soon and feeling better. But they've been hiding the ball on this from the beginning. And the fact is, it's not unusual. Any politician with a major health issue instantly becomes George Santos, right? You can't believe anything they say. They always hide the ball. And Fetterman was diagnosed with this heart condition in 2017. We never heard about it. He has the stroke. They're not transparent about it. They're not forthright about it. As you say, they get a general note from a friendly doctor. I would say in their defense, that debate he had with Oz, the one debate, is pretty much all you needed to know as a voter to ascertain his condition. And it was not good. He had trouble understanding the questions and expressing himself. And it wasn't just problems with the teleprompter as they try to spin it afterwards. He has genuine problems communicating, which is a huge part of the job of the senator. But Oz managed to lose to him anyway. And a decisive segment of Pennsylvania voters just decided it wasn't important to them. But I would just add the most shameful episode this entire period, when they tried to destroy the career of that NBC News reporter who was covering the campaign, had an interview with him, and said prior to the interview, it was clear he did not understand what she was saying when she was trying to engage in idle chit chat. They said she was lying. And as you say, she was an ableist and hated disabled people and set the cause of disabled people back decades. And it's one thing, Megyn, for like people to come after you, you're used to it. Here's this young reporter has to fear, is she going to get fired? Is she going to have any career again? And they were lying. And she was telling the truth. And that was just disgraceful.
Remember how fun cereal used to be when you were a kid? And how boring and bland adult cereal is, like fiber. There's nothing but fiber. Well, Magic Spoon has replicated your favorite childhood cereals to taste good, but each serving contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 I say, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and just 4 to 5 net grams of carbs per serving. It's a keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free way to relive those childhood moments watching your favorite cartoons and stuffing your face with something you love. Plus, it's only 140 calories per serving. It's like there's magic in every spoonful, hence the name. With over 8 unique flavors, you will not get bored of feeling good with Magic Spoon. The super popular, previously limited edition birthday cake flavor is back to stay. We're celebrating our birthdays early with this fan favorite. Head to magicspoon.com/MK to grab a custom bundle of cereal and see for yourself. Try out the magic. Be sure to use our promo code MK at checkout to save $5 off your order. If you love those delicious, sugary cereals you used to eat when you were a kid, but you staved them off, you gave them up because you thought you couldn't recapture it at something that was a little bit healthier for you, check out Magic Spoon. They're so confident in their product, they back it with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like their product for whatever reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/MK. Use that code MK to save $5 on your order. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.